Hi folks, this is Vikas. We're here with yet another podcast from Acviss. Today we have with us Ankita Jain, who's an IP consultant at Acviss. In fact, not Ankita Jain, she's actually Dr. Ankita Jain because she has a PhD in commercialization of IP. If there's anybody who can talk about IP, commercialization and IP protection, that's her. Welcome Ankita.
Thank you so much, Vikas.
Ankita, our audience would like to know a little bit more about you, your experience specifically in the field of IP.
Thank you, Vikas, for the introduction. I have been into this field of intellectual property rights since a decade now. And I picked this subject out of interest right after my graduation, which was in the field of commerce. So picking up intellectual property rights after commerce is a very uncommon topic in India, but I nevertheless chose this one and did one post-graduation course at NMIMS about intellectual property management. That is when I realized that it is so much in detail, and every kind of intellectual property rights comes with its own specialization and intricacies as well. And there was no looking back after that. I did work with a few law firms, private entities, and then got an opportunity to work with Hindustan Unilever for about 7 years. And after that, during that duration, I also completed my PhD. And after that, I started doing different consulting jobs as well as taking up training programs on the subject of intellectual property rights.
Nice. So, talk to us a little bit more about your experience at Unilever. So, what were you doing exactly over there?
I was a part of their brand protection team, and we used to look at offline raids and those aspects of intellectual property management. And I used to assist the legal team of the legal IP head of Hindustan Unilever from India.
Right. So let's dive a little deeper into what intellectual property is and how do you protect IP as such. Help us understand what are the various forms of IP, and I'm sure people would have been definitely introduced a lot of various aspects like patents, trademarks, etc. But an overview about what are the various aspects, especially for somebody who is into business or somebody who's actually into a brand protection team. What are the things that they need to be aware of? What are things they need to look at, and they need to basically ensure that as a brand protection expert or somebody who's managing the brand protection team, what are the things that they need to focus on?
So when we think of it as a business point of view, intellectual property rights can be termed as a bigger phenomena than what it is. But little do people realize, especially in the beginning of their businesses, that everything that we do in our daily lives will involve some or the other kind of intellectual property rights, and therefore it is more important to understand what are the different types. So like you mentioned, patents, trademarks, there are a few other types also, which is copyrights, geographical indications, and industrial designs. Now these 5 of them come handy in every business on day-to-day basis, and each one of them attributes very uniquely to different types of activities in a business that runs. So let's say if you have a product in hand, which could be a water bottle. So the shape of it belongs to industrial designs, whereas the functionality of how that water bottle works will get a product patent or a process patent. And the name on it will be attributed to trademarks in form of logo or device. And if at all the water in it, if that comes from a specific origin or geographic region, that will then get a geographical indication tag. So all of these are different types of intellectual property rights, but when you look at it from a product point of view, all of them becomes a part of it in their own way of that product. And if at all there is any illicit activity, or if there is any illegal activity with respect to that one product, let's say somebody tweaks a name of that product and makes duplicates of it, or there is a incident of counterfeiting regarding that water bottle, what will happen is that all these intellectual property rights will get affected along with the product.
Right.
So the company has to understand, or the business leaders of today have to understand that every kind of intellectual property rights need to be registered as well as protected in their home country as well as all the countries where they are operating, to seek further protection for their products.
Interesting. So, I mean, let's be a little practical and understand the realities on the ground now. I'm sure companies are registering, various, IP, like you gave me an example of the water bottle, the name, the design, etc. Do you think registering IP is enough, or how do companies ensure that even after registration of IP, there are no counterfeits? How do they ensure that nobody's copying their design, etc.? So, how do companies ensure that? And even before that, is registering these rights, is it even helpful or not?
Okay, so to break down your question, is it possible for the companies to protect their intellectual property rights? Yes, for sure. Is registering intellectual property rights going to help them out? Yes, foremost, yes, in bold letters. And for every company to even think about protection, the first step has to be registration. And it doesn't have to come from the perspective of only protecting your intellectual property rights. That is the very basic aspect of it. But the moment we come up with an idea, or the moment we realize that, okay, there is an intellectual property in hand, that needs to be that needs to go through a formal legal registration process. Once that is done, it becomes very easy for the owner of it to go ahead and claim the rights over that intellectual property rights in the jurisdiction or territory wherever it is registered. So let's say if I register my trademark in India from Mumbai, I do not get registration only for one part of India. I get registration for the entire country. And likewise for every other kind of intellectual property rights also.
Okay.
So registering intellectual property rights is definitely the first step. The second step is having a constant tab of marketplaces to understand where the distribution is happening, how the market is reacting to it, if there is any fluctuation in your operational activities such as sales in different jurisdictions, what are affecting those changes, because the menace of counterfeiting or any other illegal activity can arise from there itself. And the moment any of such incident is captured in the marketplace, acting upon it through legal routes, be it either civil or criminal route, stopping the infringer or any illicit practitioner has to be the company's foremost priority. And it is not at all an excessively expensive affair. It could come with some amount of legal cost, but if it is requisite to hold upon or uphold the goodwill of the company, it is all going to be worth it.
Nice.
And
so what you're saying is registering IP is important because it helps you make your case whenever there is a violation, right? So that's something which is very important. So I'm sure the IP framework in our country or globally has changed a lot. What are the major changes that you've seen that has happened in the last few years when it comes to protection or even IP, definitions of IP across the globe?
So, because there has been a very amazing change from the governmental side in India perspective, is that they have given more emphasis on intellectual property rights and inventions as well as innovations around all the business areas and categories. And the government in itself, through several measures, are supporting startup community, business community, entrepreneurship, and that is what is triggering the increase in the filing of trademarks and patents. This year, trademarks and patents were uh, filed in numerous numbers, to an extent that it did create a record for the registry itself.
Nice.
And that's a very proud moment for all of us as
Right.
Indians itself, that we are able to serve and support the growth of intellectual property.
Nice. So I think the more amount of IP that gets registered is a good measure of the innovation that's happening in any country.
Absolutely.
Right. So let's talk about the other side of IP, right? I mean, in terms of, like, I've registered my IP, but now I need to protect it, right? So first, let's understand the legal framework that is available, right? So what are the measures available for any brand, any person? Let's say if he or she discovers that his or her IP has been violated, what are the things he can do in that case?
So, there is a terminology for it which is called enforcing your rights. So, when you register, you get a confirmation over your rights on that property, and when you claim those rights from anybody else who is duplicating or using it illegally, that is called enforcing your rights. That can be done through two major ways, which is going through the civil route, and the second one is criminal route, where you so the civil route is where you go to the courts of the particular territory and request for helping you out and stop the infringer from taking any of these steps ahead or doing any of those illegal activities. On the second hand, if it is a severe incident where there is a health hazard, for sure, with respect to duplication of the product, in case of medical products or foods and beverages, it can affect the health of the
Sure.
consumer for sure. And in those cases, you can go for criminal route and file for a case as an FIR in the police station, and the police will assist you right away.
Okay.
And besides that, at an individual level, if you do not want to take these two bigger steps, you can always file for a cease and desist notice to ask the infringer, if you have all those details about them, directly to stop the activities.
Right. So I'm going to my next question may be a little controversial. We've heard stories where people have said, they have taken this action, but most of the time the law in our country is not strict. They've seen people they go to the jail for a day or two and they're out on bail and then doing the same thing again.
So there has to be consistency over it. What we can do as a manufacturer or a business owner or an IP owner is that be more proactive, and rather than being defensive, be offensive by integrating technology in your products itself, which helps the consumer detect the product as an original or a fake in a very direct way. And that the technology in today's time and age can help you in so many ways to integrate holograms or different features to your product packaging itself, which will help the company detect if that product belongs to the company or not. And also, as a business leader, we can do more. One more proactive aspect is go ahead and talk about those features to our consumers in a way where we don't disclose the technology, but we at least let them know that and educate them personally that they can also detect the originality of the product
Okay.
through the process.
Nice. Right. So, given that we're on that topic, right? Technology. So, what in your experience, what have you seen as what has changed, and how has technology helped in terms of both registering your IP and protecting your IP?
So technology has one definitely helped people conduct the whole process of registration in a faster mode. And since it is online, it helps people save all their time and energy.
Okay.
And it is also cost effective when it comes to registration. And the second part was in terms of protection also. People are now able to, like you said, that the cases would prolong for a longer period of time
Right.
without consequences or so. It's not in most of the cases, but to have a log of all those cases and detailing of all the counterfeiters, etc., can now be stored in a database management manner, and that only helps the company understand of any repeat offender or any such repeat activities. And the data management systems in itself help the company to look at the larger picture,
Right.
and not just one single incident.
Right. Right. So we've seen that the world is now changing a lot, and people are shopping a lot online, doing things a lot of things are happening online as well. A lot of IP is also getting created online, right? People who were primarily selling offline are also selling online. We have art being sold, virtual art being sold online as well, and of course there are other problems that come with it too. So when it comes to the online world, how have things changed? What are the important things to consider when it comes to online?
So, one factor that needs to be understood by each and every one of us is that when we speak of intellectual property rights, it comes from the adjective called intelligent, and any human intelligence, when used to create a property, is then only attributed to intellectual property rights. And then only can it be converted into an intangible asset form. So anything which is generated 100% in a computerized format, be it through AI or ML, it is not going to get the tag of intellectual property rights in any of its types.
Right.
And that is where if at all there is a human intervention into creating that property, that will still stand a chance
Right.
of getting some registration. But other than that, the protection of it is not going to be possible.
I remember a very nice example around this. I think it's a very famous example of a monkey taking its own selfie. And I think that became a huge, there's a lot of news around it, I think.
Yes.
And the person who actually owned the camera would not get the copyright to the picture.
Yes, he did not get the copyright to it. And so in the name of the that particular monkey, the animal foundation that was fighting for the monkey got the compensation.
Okay.
So when we speak of any AI or any other factors also, AI ML also, the companies who own those softwares will eventually have to deal with the consequences.
Okay, very interesting. I think there's, I'm sure it's going to get much more complicated because the way AI is advancing, right? People are creating a lot of content, a lot of, I would say, I wouldn't call it IP, but like creating a lot of assets using AI. So very interesting to know how that will play. So let's now talk about let's expand more on online that we are talking about it now. How do people protect the assets online? Very easy for me to copy a picture, very easy for me to copy your brand or post a listing on Amazon, etc. So as a brand or as a business owner, how do you protect myself online?
So, connect with the marketplaces with all your registration documents. If at all any fake is spotted on any of the marketplaces that you are already listed, or there is, even if you are not listed and that the fake product is being listed over there without your permission, uh, you can definitely reach out to the marketplace team, and they will either report abuse through their channel or connect with them, and they will definitely come back to you either by taking down those websites, or they would help you understand why the product is still being listed over there, because no marketplace will in its legal entity want to contribute to the menace of counterfeiting or even promote that.
Great. And by the way, we at Acviss have a tool called TrueWiz, which is specifically meant to do that. It can basically scan your presence online and make sure there's no form of impersonation that happens. And that happens across marketplaces, social media, and also your domains as well, right? So do check out TrueWiz as well. Moving on, the next question is around, let's talk about deepfakes. We've seen and heard a lot about deepfakes and how it's been misused, and a lot of people have been affected by it. So when it comes to deepfakes, and in fact, deepfakes is also used to fake a human, right? Absolutely. Sometimes we've seen videos of people, even though it's not them, deepfake has been used to fake a human. So when it comes to IP and deepfake, how are these two connected?
So the intellectual property laws in India and worldwide are also coping up with the advancing technologies, which is moving at a lightning speed. So in intellectual property rights, under the copyright law and trademark law, you do have measures where you can protect your voice and features of your character in a personality trait as well, and get it protected and then claim also. So if anybody else in the name of deepfakes is taking up these activities, can be caught red-handed. And
so you're saying there are already laws which allow us to do that?
Yes. So copyright laws and trademark laws do have features which can help you out. Other than that, in addition to that, there are also personality rights, which does exist in a few developed countries, not all developing countries or all other countries for sure. But as the intellectual property laws are developing, I'm sure most of the countries will adapt to it as well.
Quite interesting. I think I have something which probably a lot of us are not aware about, right? That you can even patent or trademark your personality.
Not
right?
Patent, but trademark your voice. In India, Amitabh Bachchan ji has done it. And a few other actors have also gone ahead and trademarked their voices.
Interesting.
And outside of India also, you can either get your voice trademarked or smell trademarked as well. And that can help you further protection.
Nice. Great. So Ankita, you've had experience in brand protection. So somebody who's a brand protection manager, right? What's the advice you would like to give to him or her?
So we do not have a culture of having an intellectual property department yet in every business in India. But as we know that businesses are growing even from a startup level to a large entity, be it an MSME be it an MSME company as well, each of the business is creating intellectual property, right? So leaving it to only one person do all the talks. It is great to have intellectual property managers specifically attributed to not just take care of the registrations of intellectual property rights. That is definitely a foremost activity once you recognize your IP in your own company, but also look after the management aspect of it by creating different portfolios, follow different portfolio tools as well, where data related to the different types of IPs are stored in a customizable way or in a standard way for your
Yes.
company. So that portfolio can help you look at the overall viewpoint of the IP that exists in the company, and help you again further maintain not just the records, but also know the validity of what is still available at your hand to commercialize and make economic benefits from those intellectual property rights for your company, and of course enforce your rights as and when required. And For more details, the IP leaders or management leaders can also go through the course that we have recently launched for strategic IP being created for business leaders.
Nice. Great. So, I mean, you rightly said, brand protection, I think we've interacted with a lot of companies, and most of the time it's just one person who's managing everything. Some of the companies don't even have a team to protect their, IP. Especially in India, I think IP is very undervalued, right? So, I think it's been lovely talking to you, Ankita, and I think,
Thank you so
I
much.
hope we've been able to add some value to our viewers. I think IP as such is very important. Understanding your intellectual property, understanding that you have a right to it is paramount, and also realizing that you need to protect it is very important as well. Creating IP is one aspect, but enforcing it, protecting it is also very important. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and until next time, bye everyone.